Good evening, everybody. Here is a standing committee on finance where Mr. Poilievre, and I am absolutely saying his name wrong, and I'm just going to keep going because it is what it is. Sorry. Asked Mr. Morneau, does the HST apply to the carbon tax? And how much will the average family pay in HST on the carbon tax? And he does not answer the question. For a full 6 minutes, he dodges and talks down to Mr. Poilievre. And it's unfortunate because that's not how government is supposed to function. I understand that's how government is functioning, but that's not how it's supposed to function. So it's maddening to sit to watch the people in power disregard everything and not answer questions. They are responsible. They should answer these questions. These are valid questions. Take it away, sir.
Go ahead.
Will the HST apply on the carbon tax?
We, I guess, have a couple of really important ways of looking at the new pollution pricing. Firstly, and most importantly, we've said that all of the revenues from pollution pricing will be returned to the provinces. 90% of it will go to individuals. Our estimation is that there will be no material change in GST receipts for the federal government.
So how much will the average family pay in HST on the carbon tax itself?
To be clear, we've said that we are giving for those people in the backstop provinces, Ontario, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and New Brunswick, we will be giving a climate action incentive, a rebate to families.
And I'm trying to find out where that will leave families, because there's the tax itself, which you admit will cost almost $600 for an Ontario family. Does that roughly $600 include HST on the tax?
To be clear, your numbers are incorrect. So
they're your numbers, not mine.
Those aren't my numbers. There are different numbers in each province. So in each one of the 4 backstop provinces, there are different numbers.
I just want to stop him here. Poilievre was clear and said it's about $600 in Ontario. He says your numbers are wrong. They're the numbers that have been published. And he could have actually, Morneau could have spoken to that and said, this is the correct Ontario number. Instead, he goes off into the weeds and gets lost in talking about the other, every region's different, blah, 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 blah. Like, he could have answered the question. Instead, he chose to explain the differences between region, etc. It's disingenuous. It's clear he doesn't want to answer the question. And the question is, again, does HST apply to the carbon tax? And what will the average family pay in HST on the carbon tax? Because the carbon tax will increase the price of everything across the board, right? It costs more for everything. It costs more for gas. If it costs more for gas, it costs more to deliver goods. If it costs more to deliver goods, it costs more for the goods to be on the shelves. If it costs more for the goods to be on the shelves, then the goods themselves cost more. It's just math. I mean, it's clear. Okay, back to Mr. Morneau not answering the question.
Because the impact is different by province. And we've committed to giving the revenues received back to provinces. Of course, our expenditures on environmental initiatives are significantly greater than that because, of course, on top of that, we've put in place the Low Carbon Economy Fund and significant
The question was
measures.
whether the HST would apply on the carbon tax. You didn't answer that. And then I asked what the average family would pay in HST on the tax, and you've still not answered that. You're talking about some unrelated government spending program. How much will the average family in, say, Ontario, spend in HST on the carbon tax? How much?
On with your previous answer there, Mr. Minister.
Your question, of course, is a hypothetical. So what we can identify is that we will be putting a price on pollution.
Is the carbon tax hypothetical now? You're not going ahead with it, or?
Pierre, Mr. Poilievre, allow the minister
We will be
his time.
putting a price on pollution, and the decisions by each individual family and what they're going to do with the rebate is their individual decision.
But he's still not answering the question of how much it'll cost in HST. If they know it's going to be about $600 in Ontario, they can extrapolate that out. They've got teams of people whose job it is to test this out in models, etc., etc. I'm sure he knows the number. He's not saying it. Why? Okay, I've skipped ahead just a little bit because he just keeps dodging. Link will be in the description. You should go watch it. It's interesting. Well, I mean, I'm showing you the highlights, but it is interesting to watch all the back and forth, and just how much disdain he has for having to have to sit through this. It's incredible how he doesn't see this as his responsibility.
Any pollution pricing, of course.
Does that include the HST on the tax?
Of course, on top of that, there will be the decision on what they will take with the rebates, which could find themselves even in a better situation.
Yes. So, Mr. Chair, the reason this is important is because the government is applying a tax. It will raise the price of gas, home heating, indirectly goods like groceries, furniture, and clothing will all go up. They've admitted that. They have tables which show the cost to the average family. Now, on the carbon tax itself, people will also pay the HST. I'm simply trying to ascertain how much they will pay in HST on top of the carbon tax to see the impact on family household budgets. It's a simple question for which you must have the answer. You've been the minister now for 3 years. You have one of the most advanced finance departments in the world capable of conducting these calculations. Why not just open up and tell the truth? How much in HST will the average family pay on the carbon tax itself? What's the tax on the tax?
Peter, you're next.
We did modeling, of course, with this to assure ourselves that, in fact, we did not see any material increase in GST coming to the federal government.
Okay, thank you both. Mr. Fragascatis.
So and that's the chair of the Financial Standing Committee, right? And he's dismissing the question, moving on to the next question. So that's your government at work. That's our liberal government at work. If you have people who think they're doing good work, show them this clip. Not even my clip. Show them this clip. This is the disdain. It's unbelievable. And even the chair allowing the Minister Morneau to get away with that answer, that non-answer, is atrocious. Just terrible. Not working for Canada, either of these people. Okay, so an update to the Governor General Clarkson Spending quagmire. I don't know. Another layer on the spending cake that Justin Trudeau continues to bake for Canada. Clarkson spending much higher than indicated in public records, sources reveal, in some years exceeding $200,000. So in addition to $140,000 yearly annuity that's tax-free, she gets $100,000 in unreported. If she spends less than $100,000, she does not have to report it. She just gets it clean. No receipts, no nothing. Here's your $100,000 for your office supplies. Thank you very much. If she spends more than that, she has to report it. So she's not breaking rules. She's reporting what she's doing, and they're just paying her. So weird. Here's the article. As Rideau Hall prepares a, quote, thorough review of the lifetime expense program for former Governors General, the National Post has learned Adrienne Clarkson's expense claims since leaving office are substantially higher than revealed by the public accounts, in some years reaching the program's annual spending limit of $206,000. There's no allegation that Clarkson has ever broken any rules. However, she has taken full advantage of the little-known program that funds the activities of former Governors General, and sources told the Post that over the years, Clarkson has been the strongest opponent of reforming it, and that Clarkson has specifically resisted the possibility of her expenses being disclosed publicly. Okay, then they start talking about unnamed sources with knowledge of the program. So I'm not going to get into that here. If you want to read it, the link is in the description. I just wanted to highlight what I talked about is confirmed. These are public, or these are things that the National Post has uncovered that show her spending is higher. That's confirmed reporting. The rest of it is as far as I'm concerned, could be made up. So I don't want to incite violence or I don't want to ever incite violence, but I don't want to incite anybody to think something's happening that I'm not sure about. So read it on your own if you're interested. I'm sure the National Post has done their due diligence, as our media always does. Moving on, Montreal MP Nicolas Lorio confirms resignation effective January 19th. Right after I released my video today, basically like half an hour later, this news broke, and I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, well, missed it. Whoops. But Here we are. I'm doing it again. So Lorio is on, if you're just joining me, Lorio is on a secret mission from Justin Trudeau, and he doesn't have to show up in Parliament, but he's allowed to continue operating his Montreal-based law practice. Isn't that nice? So wouldn't that be cool to have 2 full-time salaries while you're just doing one job and one secret job for one of the bosses who's also the Prime Minister? Sounds like a bad spy movie, right? Back to the article. The Montreal area MP, who's been missing in action for the past month, says he will officially step down in January of next year. Nicolas Lorio first announced in April of this year that he would be stepping down for family reasons, but has yet to do so. In September, Lorio then said he'd been asked to stay on, and so would spend more time mulling his future. However, over the past month, many MPs have been wondering where the MP from St. Leonard, St. Michael, has been, because he has not been attending session in Parliament. In recent weeks, Lorio said he's been given a particular mandate from the Prime Minister. In a Facebook post on Tuesday, Lorio said he wants to wrap up the task before stepping down from office on January 22nd, 2019. Lorio was first elected in 2015 and maintains an active law practice. He has been particularly concerned about stopping impaired driving ever since his daughter was permanently injured in a car crash. So, I mean, there's a whole lot more to this story. I'm sure that there's more to come out, but he's going to be stepping down in January. But even so, not acceptable. I mean, you were elected to do a job, so now you're being a lawyer instead of doing that job while on a secret mission from Justin Trudeau. Stinks. Stinks to high heaven. I don't know what to make of it, but it doesn't seem like there's nothing to see here. So, from our finance minister to former Governor General's out-of-control spending to MPs, Liberal MPs just not bothering to show up. What's your government done for you lately? Given most of our money to foreign interests. Most of our money for the next 30 years to foreign interests. While stifling Alberta's ability to make any kind of money. So, yeah, that's what they've done for us lately. Well, thanks for watching. Check out the peoplespartyofcanada.ca, and maybe after the midterm elections today, if Mr. Trump increases his seats, I think he'll increase his seats across the board. I think Republicans will increase the seats in the House and the Senate. I think they will. If that happens, I think we see some movement on some big stuff. If we see the Democrats take over either the House or the Senate, then I think we see impeachment processing start. And I don't think it goes anywhere. I think it fails in the Senate anyway. But that's the next 2 years of news if that's what happens today. That's my prediction. Anyway, thanks for watching. peoplespartyofcanada.ca. Check it out.